You can read all the reasons for nuclear arms to be used. So if it is an existential threat for our country, then it can be used in accordance with our concept.
As you just heard there, Russia is not ruling out the use of nuclear weapons as NATO plans the next stages of its response to the war in Ukraine. The Pentagon is condemning these words that you just heard from Vladimir Putin's spokesperson, calling them dangerous. Back in February, you may remember the Russian president had hinted at using nuclear weapons against nations that he saw as a threat to Russia. John?
So the question, Bianca, is how far will Vladimir Putin go? Let's discuss this further with former CIA operative and the CEO of the Portman Square Group, Mike Baker. Mike, great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Back in February, Putin said no matter who tries to stand in our way or all the more so creates threats for people and our country, they must know that Russia will respond immediately and the consequences will be such that you have never seen before in your entire history. And that's where we're at now. We have a nuclear-powered foe like Russia threatening to use chemical weapons, maybe nuclear weapons. What do you think the likelihood is that Putin would use a nuclear weapon?
Yeah, I think it's highly unlikely because he still understands. He may be getting imperfect intelligence from an ever-shrinking, circle of advisors that he trusts, but he's not delusional as to the consequences that something like that would bring on. Look, this is not out of line with bravado from Putin and Peskov and others in the regime from past statements, whether it's talking about the capabilities they have with their newly developed hypersonic missiles over the past couple of years or whatever it may be. I just think that, as the Pentagon pointed out, this is extremely dangerous turf for them to be treading on because in a sense, perhaps what they imagine themselves to be doing is normalizing the concept of nuclear or tactical nuclear weapons and therefore setting the table. I don't think that's the case. I think that they are, again, in line with some of their bravado that they've thrown out there in the past. And so we do want to be very clear in our response to this and talk about how dangerous this is. But I don't, think at this stage that it's a line that even Putin would be crossing.
And that's the game of chicken, basically, that everyone's playing right now. Will he or won't he? Will he use chemical weapons? And I also wanted to get your take on the kind of delivery from Dmitry Peskov there. Kind of maybe a familiar face to those who have known him as a spokesman for the Kremlin for years and years, but he didn't seem very confident in that delivery. Am I reading too much into his body language? What do you think of this, Mike?
Well, I'm not an expert on body language. It's a very interesting point. To interpret something coming from Peskov at this stage of the game. I do think that the anecdotal evidence is strong, that there's a lot of dissatisfaction, quiet dissatisfaction surrounding Putin and his decision-making and his strategy to get them into this awful invasion and this incredible mess now that the Russian people are facing. So I don't doubt that. Part of the problem is backing that anecdotal evidence up and what we glean, as you pointed out, from comments, from body language, backing that up with actual solid intelligence.
I think I've maybe done too many interviews with body language experts because every time I watch this stuff now, I read into it. And I just saw the last clip. We saw Dmitry Medvedev there looking up in the air, kind of looking flummoxed about what's going on here. And I think you're right there. I mean, it doesn't appear. We talked about another Russian official who's left the country today out of protest with the war. So, again, what do we know? It's hard to say because the information coming out of Russia obviously isn't clear. But obviously Vladimir Putin seems to be in a rational kind of mindset now, having not used nuclear weapons or chemical weapons yet. One more thing, Mike, I wanted to talk.
I do think one of the things that, to your point, sorry for interrupting. I think one of the groups we should be watching closely are sort of the well-known oligarchs. Mikhail Friedman, Peter Abin, some of the characters that have surrounded him for years, have made a great deal of money off of Putin, and Putin has made a great deal of money off of them. There have been a number of those oligarchs who have made statements in the past handful of weeks talking about, we've got to end this war. This is not the right thing to do. And they haven't criticized him directly, but that criticism around on the peripheral, on the edges, I think is really gotten to Putin.
Yeah, and maybe the sanctions are working. We know these things take time. we'll see about that. Real quickly, though, Mike, I wanted to ask you, too, about Hunter Biden's laptop. This week we saw Bill Barr, the former attorney general, accusing President Biden of having lied to the American people, saying this. He's squarely confronted with the laptop. He suggested that it was Russian disinformation and pointed to the letter written by some in the intelligence community that was baseless, which he knew was a lie, and I was shocked by that. Are you shocked to hear Bill Barr say that President Biden lied like this? I mean, we know this to be true. And you know, you hear the former attorney general say this stuff, and you just wonder why this still has not picked up more traction.
Well, I'm not surprised it hasn't picked up more traction. Look, there's a lot of top cover for the Biden administration. There's no doubt about that. I'm not necessarily surprised by any comments at this stage of the game, from right to left or left to right. You know, we seem to have entered a new era where, everything's on the table in terms of how you talk about your political opposition. I don't know that it's going to go anywhere. I mean, frankly, Washington, D.C. is the place where all investigations go to die. There's usually, no end result that will satisfy one side or the other. So, you look at this and I think it's not surprising that there have been no retractions or any of the media that came out before and saying we're sorry about, maybe we should have covered this. The letter from the intelligence community, I will say that I'm always frustrated and disappointed when the intel community becomes overtly political.
Yeah, I mean, they were so confident about it being Russian disinformation. I mean, guys like the former CIA director, General Michael Hayden, signing on to that letter. Obviously, they didn't review any of the information that was in Hunter Biden's laptop or in any of the reports from the New York Post. And, it just further harms, and I'm sure you probably agree, the reputation of the intelligence community. And that is unfortunate because we need a reputable intelligence community in this country.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pressure on, myself included, to come out and say one thing or the other. And it's tough sometimes to push back on that. But I guess learning over some time, I think my course is always going to be just keep your mouth shut. Don't dive into anything related to politics. Focus on the operational side of the intelligence business, which is where folks have we have our experience.
It would be nice if that was the focus of the CIA and the FBI as well. Get back to basics and the business of their job. Great to see you, Mike Baker. We do appreciate your candor on everything. Thanks so much.
Appreciate you.